we doing? Welcome back to another episode of Steele Talkin Sports. I am your host, Jay Steele, and let's get talking. Welcome back. It's the beginning of Week 13. I am recording this on Wednesday night, roughly 10:45 p.m., so this will be posted within the hour or so, and you'll have this information before Thanksgiving Thursday football. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope your football and Thanksgiving is merry. That didn't sound right, but whatever. Enjoy the day. Watch some football, have some fun, eat some turkey, maybe some sides, do the whole thing. But let's talk some football. First up, last week sucked. Last week really sucked for me. We will get the slideshow going in just a second, but just to go ahead and spoil it, last week the picks record was a paltry. What was that 3-8, 3-9? 3-9. That was pretty bad. 3-10 actually. So yeah, it was pretty bad, but that's how gambling is. We hop back on the horse. We try again this week. So let's hop right into it. I'm going to recap, just run down the games from last week. So started out on Thursday night. Browns upset the Steelers. Obviously, I was on the Steelers. Cowboys pulled off a magical win against the Commanders. I was on the other side on the Commanders, so that was a weird, happy but sad, thing. Bears squeaked out the cover against the Vikings, 30-27 in overtime. Lions demolished the Colts, 24-6. Patriots get demolished in Miami, 34-15. Bucks take care of the Giants with Tommy DeVito at quarterback, 30-7. That was the best bet of the day. The Lions and the Bucks. I got both of those right. Those were the only two big favorites that covered. Pretty much everybody else did not. Speaking of, the Chiefs scrape out a win against the Panthers, 30-27. Phenomenal job by Carolina hanging in that game. They had no reason to be down by 3 points or even tied with 2 minutes to go. So great job by the Panthers in that game. Yes. Next up, we got the Titans get the W against the Texans. That was a huge upset. The Titans are garbage. Don't know how they pulled that out. But great job to Will Levis, 18 of 24, 278 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Also, Tony Pollard, 24 carries, 119 on the ground, and 1 touchdown. So great job all around by the Titans crew getting that W. Broncos get the cover against the Raiders, 29-19. Packers really put it to the 49ers, 38-10. When I recorded my video earlier last week, I did not know that Brock Purdy was not going to play in that game. If I had known that information, I certainly would have bet the Packers instead. That was a huge mistake. Cardinals only put up 6 points on the road at the Seahawks. They lose 16-6. That was another bad bet. And then the Eagles and Saquon Barkley just ran all over the LA Rams in the Sunday night game, 37-10. And then the Ravens get the win against the Chargers on Monday night, 30-23. So yeah, a lot of road teams won. Let's see. Dallas 1, Vikings 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the 13 games, the road team won. And some of them were big wins. Obviously, Philly wins by 17. Broncos win by 10. Titans as an underdog win by 5. What were they? Titans were 7.5 point underdogs, and they won by 5. That's a 16-point swing. Pretty impressive. Bucks win by 23, and then obviously the Lions win by 18. Some crazy games in there last week. So Um, definitely some of those took me by surprise, but that's how it goes. We hop back on the horse. We get into another week of action. So yeah, let's jump right into it. For this video, I'm only going to do the Thursday games and the Friday game. So it'll just be real quick, 4 games. I'll do these 4, and then I'll make a second video for the rest of the Sunday and the Monday slate. I feel like that was just the best way to go with this weird slate this week during the Thanksgiving week. So there's 3 games on Thursday, and then the 1 game on Black Friday. So I'm just going to cover those 4. So this will be a nice quick video. So let's hop right into it. Let me share my screen so I can show the slideshow, and we will get cracking. All right. Here we go. So the first game, Chicago at Detroit. Chicago is 4-7. Detroit is 10-1. This game is at 12:30. Detroit is laying 10.5 points. Actually, it's up to 9, or now it's 9.5. Currently, it opened at 4.5. The total, now the Lions are at 9.5, 10, maybe even 10.5 on some sports books. And the over/under is set at 48.5. I do see a 47.5 as well. I made these graphics earlier in the day, and now I'm recording this later at night, so things may have changed in the past 6 to 8 hours. But what do we know? Chicago's coming off 5 straight losses. The last 2 have been by a field goal or like a field goal at the buzzer. They lost to Minnesota on a field goal in overtime. They got a field goal blocked by Green Bay in the previous week. In the 2 weeks before that, they lost to New England 19-3. They lost to Arizona 29-9, and they lost to Washington 18-15. So it's been since week 7 against Jacksonville that they had their best game, where they put up 35 points. I know this past week they put up 27 against Minnesota. But man, like what? There's not a lot of good things to say about this Chicago team. They struggle to move the ball. They struggle in the red zone. Caleb Williams is still trying to do the same stuff that he did at USC and Oklahoma, and that just doesn't work in the NFL. There's only like 2 players that can really like scramble for 20 or 30 yards on a broken play and then make a pass downfield that is for positive yardage, and that's Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. There's not really that many quarterbacks that can do that, so Caleb is starting to run into some trouble. The Lions, on the other hand, an absolute wagon. Dan Campbell has no issue with running the score up. You can see that against the spread on the road, they are 6-0-0. They have not failed to cover a game yet this year. So that's very impressive. These numbers seem off. That math isn't adding up to me. Actually, yeah. Same home record. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm reading that wrong. Duh. Trends. Okay, yeah. So Detroit is 9-2 against the spread. The only 2 that they have not covered. 2 weeks ago, or I guess 3 weeks ago, against Houston, they were favored by 4. They only won 26-23, and then the 1 game that they have lost this year at home against Tampa Bay, they lost 20-16 as a 7.5 point favorite. I don't think there's any way that Chicago can keep up with the Lions. They score too many points. Their defense can score touchdowns. These 2 teams are tied in takeaway differential. I'm actually very surprised to see that. But the running game and the passing game is ridiculous. if you saw this clip about Amon-Ra St. Brown over the weekend, this guy made a journal and wrote down all 14 receivers that got drafted before him in the year that he got drafted. And he says that he reads that sheet of paper 3 times a day to keep himself motivated and like continuing to push for the next goal, to keep proving that he feels like he's better than all of those receivers that got drafted before him. What a story. I was like, dude, I want to go play for that guy. Now I want to go play for the Lions. I want to burn this ugly Cowboys shirt and be a Lions fan, because that's the kind of stuff that like you get an entire team to like rally behind your back. And that's what Dan Campbell has done. That's what I believe in. So there's no reason to think that Detroit is not just going to keep stomping on people's throats when they have the opportunity. This isn't like college where you need style points at the end of the season to be ranked number one. Right now, Detroit has nobody in their way in the NFC. They have the best record. They have the clear path to the number one seed at the moment. And I mean, they've beaten who's on their schedule. And granted, their schedule isn't the strongest. Out of like non-conference games, they've had to play Tennessee, at Houston, Jacksonville, and Indianapolis. So they've played the AFC South. Statistically, that's a very bad division. This year it's been a very bad division. But what do you do when you're supposed to beat those teams? You stomp the crap out of them. And this team, the Chicago Bears, I know that they're a divisional opponent, but what are they supposed to do in this game at home in Detroit on the turf? Stomp the crap out of them. So that is the only way that I can go in this game is the Detroit Lions, the Dan Campbell effect. Yeah, they're awesome. They're fun to watch. If I had to give you a prop bet, it would be both running backs, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, to score a touchdown. I feel like it happens more often than not. They're a dynamic duo, and it really seems like Montgomery scores the touchdown on the first drive and Gibbs scores the touchdown on the second drive. It's uncanny if you go back and watch these Lions first 2 drives of every game. The workload is distributed that way. Montgomery first, then Gibbs, and then everybody else just gets into the offense after that. And they share touchdowns with everybody. It's fun to watch. Lions -10. Lions team total over. I would bet that's probably up to like 33.5, 34.5 based on how many points they score. So don't put it past them to score 5 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. They could easily score all 47, 48 of these points by themselves. So yeah, Lions all day. Next up, Next up, we've got the awful New York Giants against the slightly less awful Dallas Cowboys. We are not good by any means, but the Giants are pretty bad. Giants are 2-9 on the road at Dallas, 4-7. This is the 4:30 game. Dallas is laying 3.5 points, and the over/under is set at 37.5. That's hilarious because in the fourth quarter of the Commanders game, we scored, I don't know, like 40 points between both teams. Yeah, it was pretty insane. So entering the fourth quarter, this game was 10-9, and Dallas scored 24 points in the fourth, and the Commanders scored 17. So yeah, 41 points were scored in the fourth quarter alone. I mean, Dallas was a 10.5 point underdog, and they were a plus 425 on the money line. That is insane. I wish I would have been, just like a Cowboy homer last week and just like betting my team on the money line because it's so high and it's so ridiculous. and then just parlayed that with the over, because oh my god, that combo would have been 8-1, 9-1 odds. You could have really cashed out and made some money on that. So hate that we didn't do that, but this is a since there's only 3 games on Thursday, you got to bet them all, right? We got to take the Cowboys in this spot. I mean, we have to. It's ugly. Close your eyes, don't think about it, but just do it, and then go eat some turkey or like go hang out with some friends and you know watch the 2-minute highlight later, because the whole game is probably going to be pretty ugly. Cooper Rush did look pretty solid for what it's worth last week against Washington, but can't say the same for Tommy DeVito. Dude had a rough day. It didn't look as easy as it did last year for him. Um, the Giants are pretty bad. They don't do a lot of things very good. The Malik Neighbors interview, really weird. Obviously, rookie player wants to get his touches, but calling out his team and his coaches like that he doesn't get the looks in the first half, and then all of a sudden in the second half they give him the ball, but we're down by 3 scores. What do you want me to do? Like, whatever he said like that. Doesn't look good. So, and I mean, this obviously goes one of 2 ways. Either this week or tomorrow he gets 10, 12 targets and, he goes off for 100 yards. Or they give him no targets, We don't really know. They obviously just shipped Daniel Jones out, so who knows what this team does. So I like Dallas minus 3.5 at home. Since it's 37.5, I like the over, but that's kind of ugh. Probably Brandon Aubrey over 1.5 field goals. Like, play it safe, play it smart. But Dallas minus 3.5 is about all that I've got to say about that. Next up, third game on the Thanksgiving slate. Miami 5-6 goes on the road to Green Bay to play the night game. Green Bay minus 3.5. Over under is set at 47.5. I don't know, man. I mean, this looks like a recipe for the same exact game that Miami played in the playoffs last season against Kansas City. It's going to be cold. 27 degrees is what I saw the McAfee show say today as they were going over the game. Obviously, that could change. Could be a little bit cooler, could be a little bit warmer. Well, we'll start there for our base. 30 degrees. How do you think Tua Tagovailoa is going to perform in 30-degree weather? Not very good. Miami has not been good on the road. They're 2-3. Their record against the spread is 5-6. Let's see. They're Miami is 2-2 as an underdog on the season. They are 3-2. Oh, they're 3-2 against the spread on the road. On the road, Miami is 1-4 to the under. At home, Green Bay is 2-3-1 to the under. Yeah, Green Bay has looked pretty solid. I'm not going to lie. They have 8 wins. Their running game is good. If Jordan Love doesn't throw an interception, which it was an anomaly last week, he did not throw an interception. My bad. He had thrown one in 8 straight games. I thought it was just like a thing that happens. So I told you do it, and he didn't do it. But the Packers look pretty good. Matt LaFleur is, making it work with that team. They've got a lot of receivers, and Josh Jacobs is just running the ball down everybody's throat. Green Bay looks really solid. Miami, I still have some questions about. They've had this last week. Jalen Waddle went crazy, had over 100 yards. Tyreek had a couple of catches, but nothing crazy. And then the week before, it was Jonnu Smith. So it seems like he's sharing the ball a lot, but he's focusing on one receiver per game that really eats. And then obviously like Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert out of the backfield, they get a ton of touches because Tua's not throwing the ball downfield. You can see it when you watch his plays. It's short screen passes out to the side or little 5 and 10 yard hitch routes. Um, Nothing crazy downfield like we were seeing last season with Tyreek and Jalen, they're on this 30 and 40 yard go routes, and Tua's just airing it out. And I think that's probably because of the concussion thing. They've changed the offense around a little bit to get the ball out of his hand quicker, which makes sense. I'm all happy for that. I think it's a smart way to keep your quarterback healthy. There's nothing wrong with doing that. All right, there we go. I think we're okay. It looks like I gotta refresh my screen to share my screen again and show the slides, but I think I can just power through the rest of this without doing that, and we'll be okay. Um, Very long-winded there, but the basics is that I'm going to take the Packers at -3.5. I just don't think that Miami can keep up in the cold weather. I know they probably want to get that monkey off their chest and finally, win one of these cold weather games, but I don't think it's going to be this game. Next up, last one for this video, we've got the Las Vegas Raiders 2-9 at Kansas City 10-1. This is at Friday. This is on Friday at 3 o'clock, the Black Friday game. I believe this is on Amazon Prime. Kansas City -12.5. Over under is set at 42.5. I mean, they've lost one game to Buffalo. Yeah, they didn't cover against Carolina, but now you've got a Aiden McConnell led Las Vegas Raiders team going on the road to Kansas City. The Raiders are a mess. The only thing I would maybe say is that like the Raiders might score the first touchdown and then give up 30 straight points to the Chiefs. So that would not be like the craziest thing. Raiders to score first, Chiefs win. But there's not anything positive that I can say about this Raiders team. I don't like this team. I hate when their games are featured at 4 o'clock on CBS, and that's like the only game that cable has. If I get tired of listening to Scott Hansen, which nobody really does, he's amazing. But in one of those moments where it's the only game on TV, so like, fine. You don't want to watch the Raiders. Last week, apparently Gardner Minshew broke his collarbone, so he is out. Aiden McConnell is starting quarterback. I want no part of that. So Kansas City -12.5. Feels weird taking every favorite, but it's hard to make an angle for any of the underdogs in any of these games. Chicago, no. New York, no. Actually, Chicago's the only one, maybe, because they're playing in a dome. Like, maybe I could get behind Chicago, but at 10 or 9.5, no way. I'd have to get up to 14.5, even maybe 17. So, like, if you like the Bears in a teaser leg, okay, I like that. But there's anything else, like, I'd rather play it the opposite way and just like take the easy money on the Bear or on Detroit winning by 3.5 and run to the bank with that teaser leg right there because that should be a lock. But other than that, I'm taking all four favorites. It is what it is. Like I said, this is going to be a short video, so that's all that I got for this this one here. Just as a recap, we've got, let me get this out of my way. Recap, we've got Lions -10, Cowboys -3.5, the Green Bay Packers -5.5, and the Kansas City Chiefs Green Bay -3.5, and Kansas City Chiefs -12.5. That is all that I got for this episode. That I will get this posted tonight. This will be available for you to watch throughout the night if you're up late or early morning before these games start on Thursday. And then I will get another video recorded for the remainder of Week 13. So thank you very much. Again, I am Jay Steele, your host of Steele Talkin Sports. Reach out to me on YouTube or Twitter, and we can chop it up and talk sports or just football there if you want to. Thank you, and I will be back.